This is something I always like to do whenever a property sells that's inside our CRM. I always like to do a little deep dive just to find out if it's a house that ended up selling to just a retail buyer. There was a house that ended up selling to an investment company. What I do is step one, I'm actually going to do it live as I'm saying this. I go on to Miami-Dade Property Appraisal, just get the property's information. This house that I'm looking at, it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. 1,080 square feet, and we have 4,360 square foot lot, and it was built in 1965. And from there, I'll go on to Realist just to check if the house is CBS or wood frame. I've made some of those mistakes earlier on in my career where I ran numbers as if the house was CBS, construction block, but it ended up being wood frame, and that is not worth the same. So I'm looking up the house. CBS, that's the 5th thing I marked down. See if the zoning is anything crazy. No, zoning is standard, single family, so I won't even mark that down. But there's a lot of density in the zoning, then I might mark that down. Then I run comparables just to get an idea of what the house is worth. This house is in the 33142 zip code, so it's a pretty active zip code. Don't want to run comparables too far out from where the house is. The closer the better. Kind of the model. Square footage, I'm going to want to take a look at houses up to 1,250 square feet, and that's about it. Let me see what we got. This house is a 2-1, 1,080 square feet, so realistically, depending on the layout, it could be converted. We have a 3-2, 798 square feet that sold for 465. Somehow the layout allows for this 2-1 to be converted into a 3-2. It could sell at around that price. But let's just be a little bit more conservative. Let's go with like a 3-1. ARV for the house is, call it 460. And then rule of thumb is you want to get 460 multiplied times 0.7, just so you can get an idea of what the as is of the property is. So that's, call it 322, but we'll just round it down, 320 as is. Is sold for 330. So I'm like, all right, well, realistically, for us to have made money off of this property, we would have had to get it below 320, because 320 would have probably been close to the price that we would have been able to sell it at. They sold this property at 330. Do I just mark this property as an already sold house, or do I mark it as in a lost deal, right? There's a difference. If this house would have sold for 270, then I would have marked it as a lost deal, because the difference from 270 to 330, which is what it sold for, is what we could have made. That means another investment company ended up making it. But in this case, the house sold for 330. I actually know the company that bought it. So I'm guessing they probably made a margin, or they looked at it as a fix and flip and they're actually the ones fixing and flipping it. But in this case, I'm just going to mark it as an already sold deal. I don't